Hello, this is a rare on-camera thing appearance. Just to do a rare commentary on one of these monkey ball videos. So for people who already follow me, you probably saw I posted this 1cc recently. If we've been friends for a while, you probably knew that I had a 1cc of this with all 70 floors, going back to about 2 years ago, and then man, I guess the Expert Extra to Unlock Master was probably 5.5 years ago now, which is crazy. It was a pandemic era, me sitting grinding on a little travel CRT back then. But I've been playing this game for most of my life. This is probably the first arcade game I really put a lot of time into. And I was sort of thinking about it again recently when Hazy Levels, or Misty Zones, depending on the channel, uploaded a little advanced commentary, a warpless run. And I was like, this is cool. And I'm glad to see people who are not speedrunners playing this game. I'm not a speedrunner. I have no interest in speedrunning this game or really any game. Which, especially for this game, if you're sort of familiar with the history of this game is sort of like a competitive game. It was a very popular GDQ title, and the hacks have been very popular GDQ titles. And there's a certain speedrun prestige about this game because it's such a robust physics engine. It's such a, especially by this point, well understood physics engine, and very conducive to interesting, unusual kind of skips. You know, bouncing off to the background, the geometry, and certain setups that allow you to gain speed on bounces to get in a goal in a second and those kinds of things. But there is a really engaging casual game here, and I know we have a lot of Negotia fans out there, especially with the recent spike out sort of boom that's happened. So yeah, I would love for more people to start learning Expert for this game, even though it's quite a challenge. And I really suggest you go watch that Misty Zones video. Go try a warpless run. Warpless, when you're doing warps in advanced mode, if you've played advanced mode before, which is not a particularly, I would say it's like advanced to expert is like in the later rising Yagua games like Backraid and Batrider. There's sort of like that normal advanced split or whatever those two modes are called. I'd say advanced 1cc is about at the level of the normal of that game. It's probably sub 5 hours of practice in that range. Expert, I couldn't tell you how much for this game because this is from years and years and years of progressive play, and I think I got my advanced 1cc probably back in high school, so by this point it's been over a decade. But it's definitely worth, if you want to sit down, try Monkey Ball 2, play this one, get a feel for the physics, sort of chip away at it over the course of weeks, months, years, just to really let the physics ingrain. And you'll find that you can actually solve a lot of these stages just through pure perseverance. I'll point out the levels where I had to try, learn, like look up a particular strat to beat it, but it's literally like maybe 1 or 2 levels in the run. Not anything big. So I want to cover a couple general things. There's 3 big physics points I think are worth noting when it comes to talking about this game. The first and probably most major one that I think is misrepresented a lot about this game, it's very popular to say, I know, I think Misty Zone said it in their video, and a lot of people have said it, it's not on them for this. It's very popular to say, oh, but you're not moving the ball, you're moving the floor. And that is incorrect. For this game, it's not as big of a deal. Monkey Ball 2, it's absolutely imperative you understand that what you're actually moving with the ball, the little monkey in the ball, is your gravity vector, right? This is an important facet because if you're just moving the floor, that's implying you don't really have air control in the same way. And air control is a really, really, really important facet of understanding the movement of these games, right? So keeping that in mind is really key. The other 2 things are, and eventually I'll write a review probably in a couple months that goes over just how much I like these traits. But the second point, friction, and I mean literal physics friction. Friction is what helps you, move across the ground, right? Like if you're on a frictionless surface, you start sliding, you go everywhere. If you read my Banana Mania review from way back in the day, from 2022, back when that game came out. I was very critical of that game's lack of friction, literally in the sense that you were sliding all over the place. It actually made the game much harder. It actually added abstract friction, so to speak. This game is actually stickier than you might think. If you're wondering, like, oh my god, I'm going to roll down the surface, you will actually find that you can stick to surfaces probably longer than you might expect. You're going to be a little bit of a tug, right, to keep you on. The third thing is that when you ram into a surface, you actually gain a little bit of speed, right? It's not like a normal physical reality where you're going to bump into something and it's going to absorb part of that energy, right? And then push some of it back into you, like sort of like a vector math kind of thing. No, it just will give you a little extra push, right? And for some of the stuff, again, this is, I think, especially important in Monkey Ball 2, where the solutions are much more... They put you in a lot of way crazier situations in that game than this game ever conceives of. But it's still important to know for this game, important to understand for some of the, like, oh my god, how is he getting enough speed to do this here or this here? It's half the time it's usually you do a little zigzag to sort of get that extra, distance to build up speed, which is also sort of a strange thing. It's not like a racing game where turning is going to decrease your overall speed, right? There's not like a four wheels and grip concept here. It's really just it really just comes down to you're on a surface, and the more you move, the faster you go, and when you bounce into stuff, you're going to go even faster. So those are the three most important things before I actually start getting into the core concepts here. And the reason I cover them up front, and if you're joining me at this point, this is the start of the run. I'm going to go ahead and choose Baby here. This is a speedrunning thing, obviously. Very famous for people choosing Baby, but I do it here because you'll notice that playing with a bigger hitbox on screen, it's not really a hitbox, all the characters are the same, but it's a lot easier to tell where your center of gravity is when you have a tiny little character. And so you will see me actually set up tricks, including the one part of the reason I had to do that long preamble is because this run starts immediately with floor 2. So obviously there's the warp here. You want to be getting the warp. You don't really want to be doing warpless 1cc runs of this game. So you're going to see a sort of prime it here. Watch me turn the camera. Oh, overshot it. So you'll notice what happened right there. This is a really key aspect of this game, is that camera manipulation. So you want to be able to get such a precision on the analog stick. I've got my little example. The actual awful controller I use for this game with no rubber on the stick. This is a game that uses the whole stick. Every part of the buffalo right here. And this middle part is where you're going to be doing a lot of your minute adjustments. Knowing how to correctly and accurately stay in that range is a very, very key part of this game. And for this kind of thing, you want to be able to move the character such that they're really just rotating in place and letting the camera back up behind them. So for this one, this is not a particularly thin rail for what you'll see later on. There's actually a decent amount of space to maneuver here. And once you get to the point that that's a decent amount of space to maneuver in, you know that you're probably ready to start at least getting the Expert on its own 1cc, if not further than that. So you notice right there what I did, and I'll just back it up just a little bit. Roll through. I'm going to slowly set this up. I was playing this very casually. I did not expect to get the 1cc. This is purely like a daily practice. I actually over-adjusted, popped back, and then straightened out. You really want to make sure the camera's straight before you press straight, because obviously the GameCube stick has this octagon shape, right? It's got this octagon gate. You want to set up as many tricks as possible with the camera such that you can lock in one of the points on the gate and send it. The game gets a lot easier when you're sort of familiar with what each of the little points do, right? And familiar with, okay, for this particular section, I want to be leaning into part of the gate. Oftentimes that requires doing a little bit of camera setup. So, bonus pretty easy. You should probably know how to do that from advanced. This is one I see people try to start from the curve, like the L part of the brace right here. I always go to the side because it makes this run over really easy, because there's just less space to cover. And then I can get right in front of the goal, move in place, not that difficult. Obviously the next stage coming up is floor 7, exam C. from people who know it from Monkey Ball. Or Monkey Ball 2, or I guess Deluxe rather. And watch me take this death right here. Again, I didn't expect this to be the 1cc run, and you could tell this is a warm up. This is the first one I recorded, in fact, and I'd probably done maybe 3 or 4 runs before this off stream. You notice that same thing there. Let me back this up just a hair. So I'm gonna center on. Let me back it up again. Just to about right here. So you notice this seam. You're gonna want to start looking at these blocks in the on each of the levels, right? They more often than not, other than like the guitar level of advanced for that particular warp, is purposely offset from the seam. Most of the time, you can find a seam that is aligned up with a particular section you have to get over, right? So you'll notice see, once I'm on top of the scene and the camera's in the right place, I just send it. Because you want to be able to get over that little hump there without losing speed. If you don't have enough speed, you're not going to roll back. You're probably going to fall off one of the sides. When I started learning this game, I would just send it through here as well. I'd do the like bounce, bounce, bounce. I do this now just because I'm more accurate at it, right? I was probably losing. We're losing random lives on this section for no reason. It's a lot easier just to go in and do it the safe way. Relax. You don't want to be coming into this section with like nerves, right? And you also don't want to be coming into this section. A lot of people get freaked out by the hurry up that's about to go on in a second, right there. Just let it roll. You're gonna make it. It's not. Breathe out, right? Well, with that out of the way, we're past that sort of first wall. We've got about 8 more levels until the next big wall. You can choose either side of the gap to fall off here. You definitely don't want to play this, like, normally. However, I doubt it was intended to be played normally. Because it actually with only 30 seconds, it can take a little bit longer than you'd expect to go back and forth and back and forth. It's not that hard of a bounce to make. Here I'm going to go the 0.5 route. Back when I first got the 1cc for this, I was going on the middle route to get at least 1 bunch of bananas for banana routing. Working out a banana route that works for you is a pretty key facet of this run. It probably is for advanced as well, except for the fact that once you start doing extra for advanced, you have to be deathless to get the extra levels. So once it's more than a 1cc, you have to be deathless. Here, it's just a 1cc, so you want to build up extends when you can. I don't particularly need it here. And frankly, you'll see a couple points where I got out of my way to get bananas instead of time, including the first warp on floor 2, but otherwise pretty standard. This is a fun little one. It's really hard to describe what the actual movement is here. You'll notice I missed a couple. I always do 1 big ring and then go to the inner ring. It is very much like you don't want to be fully tilting into the wave because you'll bounce over on top of it, right? You almost want to surf it. And that requires maybe being in about this, again, very hard to see. There we go. About that, like, 2/3 of the way there position, right? Just about right there. And back and forth across that. You don't want to really be full sending it over the wave. Getting used to those middle of the area kind of spots is something really key, and not something you'll really see tested in a lot of other games. There's some more complex stuff you can do, I'm sure, for these floors. I do go backward, I guess, clockwise and then counterclockwise here just to get the bunches of bananas. You'll notice I'm not really playing for score either. You'll notice I actually don't even make my own ranking screen. And this is the same save file that I got my original master unlocks on, not my 1cc's. That's on like some Nintendo fake memory card somewhere. I don't have it right now. So I don't even get, I'm like literally a 100k or something insane lower than that, even though I got a 1cc, full 1cc on this attempt. A lot of it has to do with the warps being like an insane like score supplier. They give you either 10,000 or 20,000 extra for the stage score, so that's on top of the amount of time left, not including the bananas. And when you have that much, it also gets applied to every level in between. And if you do it in half the time allotted, you get a ×2. So obviously that's a ton of score, and way more than you'd be getting on the levels otherwise. You'll notice on the jump I made right there, that shouldn't be too complex for most of y'all to pull off once you're sort of at this stage of practicing, but it is basically just, with any of those gaps about this size, ram into it, and sort of just keep pulling forward until you pop up, and then you can use the air control to settle back into place. Oh, okay, here's another, just awful, I'm just rushing it, right? See, this time, I sort of weave through. Obviously, you can do that faster and skip this cycle of waiting, but again, this is, I'm not playing. I'm not playing for score here. I'm not playing for speed. But yeah, just nice and careful. This is one that always gave me trouble in the remake. This is another easy one. I don't usually go. I used to go for these bananas sometimes on the back end, but notice I hitch right there and then go straight in. Just make sure you hitch a little bit and you always hit it. And now we're at the second wall. These 3 stages, 16 through 18, gonna test you a lot. So earlier I was talking about friction, right? When I first learned this, I made the mistake of doing the speedrun strat. I tried to run off, bounce into the goal. Don't do that. You can do it early on if you need to, I guess, but you're sort of wasting time learning the stage for real, which is get a little speed. And I'll sort of show it again. Right about here. So make sure you have a little bit of a runway. So I'm gonna back up. Or no, I just full send it, never mind. That was a good enough bounce that I could get. You want to be a little higher than the diagonal, where the diagonal portions meet, because you're going to lose a little bit of vertical height when you're pulling it. But otherwise, that's just holding the stick against the grain, right? 17's more of a, this is like a, being able to do this sort of, move out and then back. You would be able to push out against it and then nice and evenly come back. And that's sort of like a smooth, fluid motion that you'll sort of learn to make in time. It's not something where, if you sit and fight against the conveyor belt, you're not going to win. Alright, this is a real important one here. This is one I can't do on the cabinet for some reason. It always messes me up. So you want to, at the start of that, you know, I went forward, and then as soon as I hit this, top right gate. Of course, now it's reversed because I reversed the camera. So it would sort of look like this to y'all, right? You want to be going up and to the right on the gate. And the reason for that is you want to make sure that you're going fast enough that you're getting horizontal speed, and you also want to fight against the grain as it tilts, right? Because it's very easy for it to tilt so much that you just start slipping. And once you're slipping, you can't get back up, right? So if I keep with that for a little bit, around this point, still going straight, and once it starts tilting again, I'm gonna do hit the left up gate for the point. I guess the northwest gate. Sometimes I bounce as I did. Actually, it's a pretty rare bounce I got right there. Sometimes I'll hit the back or one of the ends of that ending platform, and I'll just circle back and go in the gate in the goal. Sometimes I hit it perfectly. It's not a big deal exactly how you do it. Here I'm collecting some extra bananas. You can sort of see me hesitate. I'm like, you know what? This is a bonus stage right after this, so it's like I'm not even really gonna worry too much about, you know, trying to get an extend on this stage, because I can just get it on this one, right? This should be pretty self-explanatory. Just make sure you go through each of them straight. Don't forget that first one, right? On that last one, those platforms those slopes are a little steeper than you might expect, right? You want to make sure you have a little bit of a runway, again, just to make sure you're going up without taking so much speed up there that you careen off the edge, right? Alright, this is another wall right here. This is a very complicated, this is one I wish I had a stick visualization. Because this one is, you can't do this really with the gate. Because this is, I guess what? It's as wide as 2 of those little tiles, right? So what's going to happen on this stage is that you have these... This is an incredible stage. It's like, their brains were so big. These rails are going to sweep you to either side. It looks like, it's like, how would I even stay on there? But if you are basically balanced over one of the lanes of tiles, so if I just sort of, it's hard because ready is in the way. But imagine, and of course this is a $5 capture card I was using. Yeah, I'm not gonna buy a new one. I don't care enough. I'm not a streamer. But you can sort of see these tiles right here. So you can, this middle one right under the E is leading down into that straightaway that's going to sort of curve down and come back up. So you sort of want to position yourself so that you're on the left set of tiles. Usually I do this after I'm already on the slope. I just sort of move a little left. And then after the rail comes in from the side and hits you, shift over a little bit to the right, so you're on the right set of tiles, right angled over the right column. Let's call it column. And then the left rail is going to bop, and then you just roll straight in the goal. Or you can stop at the goal and circle around and get the bananas. I used to do that too in my old banana route. So let me just show it real quick so you can see it. Okay, look, see, I'm over that one, and then I'm over the left one. And I'll just briefly show that again. So if I pause right here, look, see, I'm right on top. I'm a little to the, I'm not centered perfectly, but I'm mostly over this left column of blocks, right? And then I'll shift. Now I'm on the right column, right when the left rail hits. And if you have managed to get past 16 through 18, probably with some luck, and you hit this stage, and you will lose a continue. You might lose like 3 or 4 credits in a row. And this is because this is one of those stages where it is not tied to one of the points on the gate. You have to learn, obviously start going straight. You'll be right centered over this rail. And then you just lean it just the tiniest little bit over the left. Straighten out. Lean it over right, straighten out. Do not get over to the points on the gate or you will fly off. Because this is not that, that pathway is not that long, right? So, again, it's a tricky level, but once we get past this point, we can take a breather. This next one's a little annoying. It's sort of like a shitpost level. It's building off this sort of earlier concept from more structured levels where you have this route. So you know to take this sort of slope. You'll just have to feel what's right for you and how you want to bounce off of it. That angle always works for me, and it's pretty fast too. And then, yeah, just go straight away on that sort of inner segment. Straight away here again. Just make sure you have some control. I'm going to grab these bananas for safety. Again, yeah, make sure you don't fall off that edge if you do that. But, yeah, roll right into the goal. Not too bad. This next one is drop dead easy. This is one I'm sure you can get on the first try. Grab the bananas here if you want. If you just sort of wait for them to appear in the middle, but otherwise you can sort of trace the path. But I don't. There are very few stages where I don't randomly die. That is probably one of maybe 5, right? This stage in here is actually one, especially sort of in the middle of my 1cc grinding a while back, was really a bear for me. And it's not a difficult stage. It is mostly just making sure that you are going fast enough on each of these straightaways that you're going to end up making it to the goal in time. There's another stage where you can't let the hurry up scare you. You will be going so fast at the end because there's one giant straightaway that just gotta take it slow enough that you're not gonna fly off the edge. Especially in that first half of the section where you're going down around, very easy to gain more speed than you wanted and then actually end up careening off an edge without enough control. You see here, I have plenty of time. Now, I've done it a bunch of times, but don't worry too much about the hurry up. Alright, this is a fun one. It's not really... If you get stuck in this one, it can be hard to get out. But you basically just want to hold forward, and then when you get to the top of the arc, when you're in the air, just sort of let yourself fall down into the slope. Because you want to start rolling again and gain that speed to get over the next one. You can just do that over and over again. You don't want to do is hold forward the whole time, because then you will hit the backward slope from another one. Don't want that to happen. This is one of the few air control stages in this game. A little hard because, especially this last one, camera's not super friendly, but I didn't even really hit the middle there, but I just sort of winged it. You don't really need to adjust a lot in the air. Just be cognizant. You don't want to be holding an angle when you come down, because you will bounce off at an angle. You don't want that to happen. This is sort of a test of what Exam C was going over earlier, and what the final warp that I take in this run is sort of testing, which is crossing these diagonals. I personally found that it's not really much harder to take this right path compared to the left one. And you want to take it because that was 10 bananas right there for the extend, and there are another 30 coming up. That is... I think it's 30. What am I at after this? Yeah, I think that's 30, I think. Yeah. So that's basically nearly half a life right there. And I think is well worth it for something you should be relatively comfortable doing. This is a stage that I know is particularly a bear for a lot of people. I think the easier version of this, I know Misty Zones was had mentioned struggling with in their video. And this is very much a friction is your friend. Know how much you're gonna stick to the surface. Because you need to be going fast enough that you're going around the loop. And sort of getting that, you gotta think of it like a quarter going down one of those like donation things, right? Right here, and actually let me back up a little bit, so I can sort of illustrate. This is sloped enough, and it is wide enough that you do want to be holding against the edge, and I would say more or less hit that upper left, the northwest point in the octagon gate, right? It's once you get to about here that you'll notice the screen starts tilting, and that's because I'm sort of feeling out a good angle, an intermediary angle to keep on, right? And that's something you're just going to have to adjust on the fly. Especially make sure you have no speed coming into this section, and overcompensate shifting left. Notice I sort of pop up to the top of that slope at the end to make sure I actually hit the goal. You don't want to hit the back, like the bottom post of the goal, because you will just bounce off. And of course, you'll know you had a good angle going in if you're hitting that bunch of bananas. I've definitely hit it plenty of times where I did not hit that bunch of bananas. That's something with practice. This stage is pretty self-explanatory. This is a good camera control one because you'll feel the sort of pull of the camera, because you'll see the monkey sort of naturally spins around from the movement of the conveyor belt, right? So you want to make sure that even with the movement, you're sort of tilting the camera to where you want to be next. And that's just right around the like the very center of the stick. Just make sure that you're sort of gently pushing in the direction where you want to go. You should, in that level, you have to do it constantly. You shouldn't have to do it in most levels. But. Alright, we're coming up around the halfway point. I guess this really is halfway point, because I'm about to skip, I don't know, about, actually, I think it's only 3 stages, so that's, what, 42 or wherever I do that? I don't know. This is another drop that easy bonus. It should get us extend around here. I think there's, what, 50 in here. So if you picked up those 40 in that other level where you're crossing the paths, you should be more than set up to come out of here with about 5 lives in the stock. So you see I've got 4 right now. One of them's not shown. I was 2 off, but I'm about to get it just from this level right here. Here's one I'll pause on. I'm going to really nestle in the back. You can't really see it because of the one up, but I'm digging all the way into the back of that corner. That's because it's actually, if you try to sort of hop along both, you'll find that it's pretty easy to accidentally miss that second jump because you don't have enough speed going into it. So you'll see for safety, I'm going to really get up in there, turn around without really losing that much distance, and then gun it. And then you're fine. You don't got to worry much about it. This is another easy one. This is just, well, it gets a little tough towards the end, but it's just a precision. Can you move around the curve kind of section? It's not really the end of the world. By this point, you should have a pretty comfortable grasp of how to make those minute adjustments, and you have plenty of time. This is a 60-second stage, and what? You basically have around 30 seconds just to do this back end, and that's without even going particularly fast. So I'm just going nice and slow here. You could pop into the goal from the back if you wanted, but I'm just gonna really gently get to about the dark region in the middle there, right? And then, actually no, I went even further, and then I just gun it in. Partially because you want to get those bananas in the back end if you're going fast enough. All right, this is a more complicated stage than it seems. So if you tried the advanced version of this, there's no pulse, right? And so you can sort of just loop around, more or less lean into the curve. And you'll find that with a lot of courses, lean into the curve because the stickiness in the curve itself will get you around the corner. So you just sort of want to make sure you stay in the curve and you don't want to exacerbate the curve such that you start losing height, right? Here, obviously, there's a hole in the bottom. If you end up in the hole in the bottom, you're dead. So make sure you lean in the curve. What makes this tough is there's a pole in the middle. It's going to get in the way of our natural curve. So you'll sort of see here. I'm going to roll into it. I'm leaning into the curve. And then right at that pole in the bottom left there, I don't want to hit it. And if I go behind it, then it's a much steeper, longer slope I'm having to go up. If I went left to this pole in the bottom left. So I'm going to really lean in the curve, get past the northeast side of my gate. Imagine I'm pushing in a northeast side point on the gate, going to the curve, and then I'm going to go even further than that. Just past this pole, I'm going to lose a little bit of speed, but it's fine as long as I start pushing forward here. So here, I'll start pushing forward. I'll have just enough speed to go over the gap, or over the hump, rather. I think last time I did a run, actually the run I did before this one, flawless, completely flawless. First 60 stages, and I lost on Master 3 like 6 times in a row. I had a random death on Master 1. So it's like, this is a very different run by comparison. But on that last one, I'm not gonna go back to show it because I have all this time to explain it here. That first banana set is perfectly timed that if you go over and grab it, it will start rolling the other direction and you might fall off. I actually fall off a decent amount when I attempt to get it. If I practice, I'm sure it would be fine. I don't need that bunch of bananas all that bad. I think there's a version of this where I'm getting like 8 lives or something. That was when I first got the 1cc. Obviously, I didn't need it this time. But it's not bad to have if you're comfortable getting it. If you put the hour, or 15 minutes into, practicing it. There's another random death just from hesitation. This stage's not that hard, but you just can't hesitate, right? So I'm just going to trail safe distance behind this and then quickly go through there because you lose half of your gap, right? It's going to double the amount of bumpers going into there because it's fusing, it's zipper merging, right? The 2 lanes that are meeting it. This is a pretty good 37 I'm about to do, I think. We'll see, I don't know. So air control, bounce, bounce. Oh yeah, this is the good one. Yeah, I got the bounce, bounce. You can see I sort of wiggled it. If you end up, I think you get 2 more bounces after that and then you're toast. So you can do 1 more bounce, get over, lean into the crook of the platform ending there. And then if you're just not full-on leaning, but mostly leaning, when you pop up, you'll just go straight to the goal. So it's very hard to actually lose on that level unless you really mess up one of the bounces and end up out of bounds. Alright, so 38 is brain dead. This one can get a little annoying. This is just like a I'm not paying attention trap. Again, just make sure while you're sitting on those slopes, just make sure you're leaning into them, right? It's not really that hard. Just time when you're rolling across and lean into the slopes. I don't have a good strat for this one. There's a great video I should probably link that goes over speedruns for this stage alone where you get every banana, which is awesome. You see there, I don't go quite far enough into the front row, and then I sort of miss out on the whole swath. It didn't matter for this one. If you could route this well and get really consistent at it, you could probably have a much better banana route and save some time on some previous levels. But alright, so this one, lean in the curve, and then I'm pretty sure that's another northeast point on the gate. This one looks scary. The big spikes on the goals don't help, but if you're comfortable with this particular, like rolling over the diagonals, and again, just look how I'm lining it up. I'm getting in the sort of the center point of every platform, more or less, close enough that I can just roll through straight. I'm gonna go the long way around, which part of why my score is so low. I didn't. If I'd gotten this, like many other times I've done it, in under 30 seconds, then I would get the ×2 multiplier, and that's like probably 100k more or something insane like that. Let's see what it is actually. Yeah, that was like 67 right there, so I would have gotten like probably 140,000. But yeah, let me back up a little bit on this one. This is a particularly annoying one. All right, so you're gonna see I'm gonna land right here and I sit. This is the first Monkey Ball 2 stage in a way. Monkey Ball 2 is infamous for just awful timer strats and casual play. That game is miserable with some of those levels with, okay, I'm going to wait till this point in the timer, and then I'm going to hold forward or whatever. And the level just falls apart, and if you're not doing it that way, then it's like bashing your head against the wall. It's a very trial and error game in that sense. Not that I'm hating that game. I love that game. Lots of great levels in that game, but this is one of the few in this game, other than one of the extra levels we'll see coming up, where you gotta do timer strat. So the first one you see here is 27. That is the magic number. Look up there. And right when it hits 27, not when it's 27 flat, I'm gonna go for it. 20 right here. And I missed it. 20 you actually have to wait a hot sec for. You can't preempt it like you do with 27. 20 flat, not necessary. And that one was pretty early. You can see I nearly fell through, and then I was getting antsy. Again, I didn't think this was going to be 1cc. I thought, usually, like, I want to come out, I don't want to see individual monkey heads in the top left. I want to see monkey times X, whatever, monkey X, some number. Alright, this is pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you hit those reds and you get here, and then upper left. Do not lean into that curve. Again, do not lean in that curve. If you try to, like, finesse your way through it, not gonna work. As soon as you hit that final bowl, just hold northwest on the gate. This one, on the other hand, lean into these curves. And you'll find that it's almost, like, automatic. Like, you will literally just breeze right through without really trying. Just gentle. I guess, really, this one is more like follow the curve with your thumb, almost. So it's not even really leaning into it, against it. Lean into the curve with each one. So whatever direction the curve is pointing, sort of go into it. This one's a freebie, I guess, unless you want to get bananas, but why would we bother? We got one more extend coming up, so yeah, just wait for, you can do that by eye, just wait for that sort of rotation where there's the wide gap and then go through. This is also sort of a Monkey Ball 2-esque stage. You'll wait, now get inside when it closes, and then just follow the, yeah. Nice and easy. So now you get a little breather. Start at extra is not really all that bad either. I don't think extra is a huge come up on that first set of stages, partially because there's 3 in there that they... I didn't realize this till recently. The spinning one is actually different between beginner and then advanced expert. Advanced expert, I guess, has a harder version of the stage. I didn't realize that till literally yesterday, so... That one's pretty obvious what to do. Just roll over as they're sort of moving towards the center. There's a bunch of different routes you take through here. You'll notice I just sort of I took 3 there. 4 is preferable. You can either do 4-3 or 3-4. It doesn't really matter which. Just do these one at a time. Self-explanatory. Yeah, we got another timer straight here. Alright, I'm gonna roll left. Doesn't really matter where you go. You'll hit it basically from here. Just don't get too close to it. You see what'll knock you off. 23, 1, and then go. Once you hit 23, you'll notice it's getting to the end of its rotations. Just wait 1, and then it'll have a long, steady rotation. Just ram straight into it. Bounce, air control, land. That one's consistently easy. Shouldn't present you any problems. You can always take a second jump there if you need to. Again, this level is... I mean, if you wanted to do the awesome strat, I think I've done it maybe once. But I'm apparently not going to do it on 1cc. Like, not worth. I'm getting my extend there anyway. Just roll off the platform at the right time. Hit the tape. This one's a weird one. It feels bad. I haven't missed it in a while, but you basically get in, start rolling, and then with the arrows, just move your stick around with the arrows, right? That was really close to the edge that time. I would rather not be that close, but it just sort of dumps you out where it dumps you out. Alright, this is a really important one here. So, those, on this sort of extender grabby thing, those extend, like, those little orange hinge, or, I guess that'd be like where a screw or something goes. Those will bounce you up and knock you off. What I've settled in recently, especially recently, this used to be a huge pain point for me. The last few runs I've gotten it perfectly, and it is all anything on this outer rim, not your friend. Do not full send it on this stage. You want to be in this sort of middle part, right? I'm sorry if it's picking up audio in the background. I think my girlfriend is playing Dream Drop Distance for the first time, which I probably will go watch after this because I've never played that game. If you've been wondering from my blog name Birth by Drip, I don't even like that game that much. It was just a joke from a Discord server. It's probably my favorite 5 out of 10, if that means anything to Kingdom Hearts fans. But so you notice when I'm doing these, I'm going forward here and sort of going back and forth on the zigzag. I'm coming like basically just up to around this point, not super far. So in sort of that range, you'll find that actually, even though it feels like you have to get pretty fast to get towards the end, if you do it in a measured, controlled way, and just try to go straight as possible, but zigzag between them, which you'll now see. I'm going to line up so I hit this exact corner, and then I just start going. I'm not full sending it, I'm just a little bit of air control to make sure I don't go straight and fly off one of the orange things. Otherwise, don't push all the way on the stick, right? This level should be drop dead easy if you're familiar with any of the other runs, right? Alright. There's better ways to do this stage coming up. This is one I had to sit down and relearn recently. I think I had a better way to do this for a while, and I've totally forgotten it. So I'm just going to come up, and so this little square, yeah, I'm about to hit it, right there, see? The lens flare is getting in my way, but... So there's that, imagine the full square is 2x2 tiles. So there's a 2x2 tile right in front of me, and then I'm in the middle of a 2x2 tile. And once I'm lined up and nice and comfy, we'll send it. Straight. Keep holding straight, and then you see I hitch halfway through the jump. If you do it early, you're going to hit the bottom of the little planet thing. And then finally, a little breather stage. Just follow the big mallet. That Daruma, or whatever this one's called. I think it's whatever the game is with the stacks. I've forgotten, though, so... You can see I'm sort of peeking over to make sure. Yeah, okay. We're good to go. Alright, so... the hard part's coming up now. Master will probably take maybe even twice as long as the extra stages. But luckily we have 2 relatively controlled ones, nice ones, chill ones coming up. I took a death the other day because I just held forward. You want to wait for the second cycle here. And then you'll notice I'm full sending it for a bit, and then I'm pulling back a little bit just to make sure. If you don't do that, it's fine. You'll just get those little bumps, little jumps. That's fine. Just remember that you're going to gain a little bit of speed off of that sometimes. So just don't lose control, right? Try to keep it so they're lining up, they're all meeting together and becoming contiguous right when you're rolling over them. This one's sort of interesting. I sort of hitched there because I forgot I was supposed to do 2 in one go. This is really the only stage in the game that has something to do with like centripetal force, or I guess really it's like torque, right? So like the further it's okay, if you've ever seen the Calvin and Hobbes comic with the dad and he's like, there's 2 blah 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 blah. That has nothing to do with the original comic. The original comic is at the same road. He's talking about a record player. If you hold your finger on one in the middle as compared to the outside, it's a much longer distance at the outside compared to the inside, even though they rotate at the same speed. And then Calvin's freaking, he can't go to sleep because it's just blowing his mind. As you imagine, from a physical perspective, if I'm in the inside, my angular velocity is basically lower, right? So I'm not going to go as fast when it's moving on the inside because I'm covering less distance. On the outside, it's going to be much faster. I'm going to get swung. That's sort of that, like the torque would be the acceleration, right? So I'm going to start moving much faster. My velocity is going to increase, right? So you don't want to be on the outside when you can help it. But when you're angling down straight, you're going to get close to the outside. Of course, the goal's on the outside. So I take them two at a time and then try to get on the inside. And then... So you see, it's not really taking me a lot to sort of balance in place. Nice close to the center. And as soon as it starts unraveling, I start moving so I can come and hit that before it does another rotation. Not that hard. All right. And now, for those of y'all who hit Master before, this is the level. This is... I don't know what it's called. It's like Master Trials or something in the Deluxe or whatever. But this is effectively Exam D. This is like Floor 7... except on steroids. It's probably the hardest. This, like, what I do here is I get it first time, and then I'm like, I went from not really thinking about it to my hands are numb. I'm like, oh, this could be a run. Because if I go in and I have lives to work with past this, it really could be a run. This one happened to be a run. But last time I played, again, I came in with 7 lives and then threw them all away right here. A bunch of them on this early hump, which is sort of embarrassing. That should be the easy part. But so you'll notice I'm going to line up on this particular seam. So there's the edge, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles. Get on that seam right there, right? And then I'm going to just barely move, so I'm angling the camera. You notice I get a little off the seam, so I have to sort of come back around. Reline up to the middle, and then I full send it when I'm comfortable. Getting comfortable is going to be the part that just takes eye practice, right? And then making sure you don't fly off the back of that ramp such that there's that little pole at the end. It's very easy to bounce off the pole. So make sure you're holding back to control yourself on the descent. Roll back around. Because I took so long, I got on basically missed a cycle and then got on this next cycle. So I came up and then was basically instantly able to get on this platform right here. So that little motion right there is sort of like, again, this is not a... it's like a frump, not touching the outside, just and you want to, on these moving platforms, let the platform do part of the work to get you over to the next platform, because it's going to move somewhat in the direction, because it's moving towards you, right? So you don't necessarily need to exert a lot of force towards you. You just need to sort of roll it into place, and it will bump you a little bit towards these longer platforms, right? And then past that, it's basically camera control. Because you'll notice here, I'm going to swing the camera clockwise. Roll over again. This one I do counterclockwise. Or no. Oh my god. Did I just mix those up? They're in 2 separate directions. Oh. No, I am... Okay, so this one... This one is counterclockwise, and then the next one is clockwise. Okay, we're good. So I'm going to roll over here. Just time it. Counterclockwise. Roll. Stay calm. So this part, again, is hard, right? And actually, so I lost a bunch of that first section last time I played, and then I lost a bunch of this section because I just got the yips. I forgot how to do it. You want to get some speed, just a little bit of speed going in so you don't roll off the bottom. But you also don't want to be going too straight. I mean, you have to go straight in this section. But when you get on it, you don't want to be going too straight because you'll roll off the back. Because you haven't... The curve is not enough that it's holding you in place. As you see, it'll hold you in place. So I'm going to go in, and I'm actually holding right. You can see me tilting right. Try to get in. And now, once he starts screaming, I'm going to start just clicking it left over and over again. Just to make sure I'm staying on the curve and not falling through. Because it's going to hold it in place. Now, you have to do this enough, because when you're pressing left, if you kept holding left, you'd start traveling up the surface, even though you're rolling down, even though it's so sheer, because of the speed you have, right? Because of the centripetal force. You want to have... This is the craziest thing. Like, the little cherry on top of this whole crazy level is that the goal is, like, not even particularly centered. It's, like a quarter below centered, right? So you see I'm sort of aiming for that bottom part so I can hit that goal, which is not, again, not centered. You want to not hold left too much such that you are rolling on the curve too high. You actually have to be relatively close to the bottom, but again, if you're too close to the bottom, you will hit that pole. So don't do that, right? This is the one where, I mean, obviously, when I first cleared this level, I spent like an hour on it, and I just basically did the speedrun thing. But you're not learning the level that way, and you're not learning the physics. Because this will test every single bit of your understanding of the flat physics in this game. There's not really air control, but in terms of dealing with the surfaces, this has basically all of them. Moving platforms. Tight mountain-like thing at the beginning, and then handling the curve. One of the steepest curves and for one of these sort of swirly sections that you'll see in this game. Very, very well-made level, but now once you can clear this, and once you can randomly get this first try to run, you should be able to do the rest fine. Now you have to learn the rest, right? But you'll basically want to get to the point that you can, like, if you can clear this, like, 1 in 10 is probably too low. Let's say, like, probably half the time. I mean, maybe a quarter of the time. But you want to be able to get, like, you want to be able to do it a little nervous and then get it, right? So this is going to be probably the biggest wall. Like, in the totality of this run, the biggest wall is right here. But if you get past it, good to go. All right. So this one's an easy one. If you've ever seen the strat for this, for the speed run, there's these little tabs on the side of this giant ribbon. Or like, I don't know what it's called. It's like a red carpet. They get on the side and they pop themselves, and it would give them so much speed that they just roll straight into the goal with a little bit of air control. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to do as intended, so to speak. You'll notice I have the map zoomed all the way out. This is the only one where I actually use the map. I'm using the map to see where the ribbon is behind me, because I want to face forward and just jet off forward. So right when I see the ribbon cross, the first few are not that bad. These last two, you really have to be... You have to be anticipatory. But you can't be too anticipatory because it's got those tabs on the side, so they'll knock you off. So, getting a feel for that. This one was not particularly tight. You'll know it's tight if you hit the goal tape and then you get snapped through the stage by the things closing again. That was pretty good. Alright, this upcoming one, actually, let me give you a little bit of the lay of the land. I looked this one up in a YouTube video. I didn't learn. This is the one I think actually this is really the only one I didn't like figure out. And it's because if you sit in place at the start, there's no sitting and thinking, there's no like trying stuff, you will just die and die and die and die. That thing, goal is an evil company, right? And that is an evil set of blocks, because you'll see what I'm going to do is they will fly all over the place. There's plenty of different ways to do this level. I would find one that works for you, and what works for me is the following. I'm holding up and right. I'm holding the northeast gate at the start of this, and then once I'm facing that direction, I'm holding north, right? But I'm not going to full send it because I don't want to fly off the edge. I'm going to hit two particular blocks, right? And you're going to see, or two particular tiles. And it's right here. I actually got just gently nudged by that big front block in front of me. But basically, you want to be right in the in those two tiles right there. I guess it's really three. I think actually the one, if you do the fifth one out from the edge, I think there's a chance that when the blocks come back in, it'll bump you off. I always hit those. So it's like 1, 2, I hit in the middle of 3 and 4. Just on that seam between those two little tiles. If you hit that at the right time, stay in place. When they start moving, you move with it and you just run straight into the goal. Like right here. If you hesitate at all coming back out of there, you will be hit by the next block. So you can't, like, you can't half-ass it. No half measures, right? And once you're out of there, you can do a strat on this stage to bounce yourself straight into the goal. This is a big camera control level because it will mess with your camera as much as possible, just because you're sliding all over the place. But, yeah, just look for the red and then... No, you'll fall into it. You don't need to do anything special. Just keep straight and keep an eye on the camera. And then once we get to the goal, even if you don't quite get in the goal before it tilts, you'll notice it dumps you right up. So, no big deal. This is a very Monkey Ball 2 stage right here. This would be a very good Monkey Ball 2 stage if it was in that game. So the rough idea for this stage is you'll see these buttons on the side. When they depress, shortly afterwards, the whole thing will rotate. It's very clear in showing you. So this first one, you saw I had that little blue tilt there. When the whole thing is tilting, and this especially goes in Monkey Ball 2, like the biggest corresponding level would be Nintendo or Destiny, those end of Master Extra where you're on a big block and it's going to rotate and you're on the edge. When you're on the edge, you have to lean a little into it and you have to figure out the timing. It's like right when it's sort of halfway, but the rotation will do a lot of the work for you for getting you over. You just need to tilt enough that you're on top, you're balanced on top, and it'll sort of rotate from under you, put you in the right place. That blue slope that makes that edge like a 45-degree angle, catty corner or whatever, that gives you a little bit of extra, like, all right, get on the edge and then just sort of like gently slide onto the green. It also makes it really easy to, you don't have to put a lot of speed. You're not going to gain a lot of speed because it's not like a 45 like degree angle like this way, or I guess 90-degree angle. Yeah, my bad. So this upcoming one, you have a long stretch, right? That you're sort of given like a little landing strip, so to speak. And you'll see me use that right here. So I get sort of on the right-ish side. You sort of want to go at a diagonal because it'll give you more room. And then when it starts rotating, I'm sort of moving towards that left edge so that I get on that landing strip and have a little extra distance to work with from coming from the right side. And you'll see it right here. It wasn't even that significant in that example. I just had good control. But getting a little extra space can help you. And then you just dump yourself in. That's sort of the same, sort of come from the right side, and then once it's tilted over, hold left a little bit. But the nice thing here is you'll bounce off that wall, and so it'll just trap you in place. Just don't bounce off the first wall that rotates into you, slide around, and then bounce to the next one. All right. This one I'm proud to say I did figure out myself. So, and this is a good strat. I think it's pretty useful. I was able to really figure it out without having it recorded. It was pretty intuitive, but there are rare stages. I think this might be the only one in this game that I really use this on. Other than some like quick strats I don't really use in the survival 1cc's. But when the monkey drops, it hits, there's like a little bounce. This one, I wait until the end of the bounce, and you'll see why. So I'm going to bounce. Okay. You see right in front of the ball, I've started moving. There's that green pole. If you start holding straight, or this is really like moving towards the left. I don't necessarily think it's the gate, but you can sort of do this by eye, right? Because even though it looks crazy, you'll notice all of these pegs are actually on the left side, which means in just a moment, they're all going to rotate towards, they're going to all go on their little circular track towards the right of where the ball is. So you actually want to end up right in the middle of those. You have to wait for that bounce, or else this green one will bop you right in the face. You don't want that to happen. So you notice with that, I actually miss it right there. And then you see this pink, maybe you want to call it magenta, track on the right. From the outside, follow that curve, right? And as once you're past it, you sort of, there's like a little, you're sort of slowing down as you go through this. It's so hard to tell on this video. But you don't want to full send it that whole way because you will ram into one of these. You want to wait as sort of, like, think of it like bullet time. And you'll see, as you're coming through that curve around the magenta part of the circle, you'll notice that you feel like you're sort of curving in sync with all of the different things. And they'll sort of curve and give you this nice open lane. I'm just holding straight. Wow. Nice and easy. So let me just play that again from the start so you can see it sort of unbroken up. Hold for tight. Okay, slow down a little bit, and then I'm going fast again. All right. There's a brief little take a breather, and then that'll let the cycle work itself out, then you can take the straightaway. All right. This is where that floor 2, all the way back from the start of the run, you better have very, 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 very solid camera control on those tight little edges, because these are way tighter. And I think this is already tighter than the space given to you. And this is, it's only here where it starts getting, like, sort of serious. And this is where, oh my god, I cannot believe. So I'll just back up a bit. Maybe right. Oh, that's even further back. I don't really like this OBS VLC player. Yeah, right here. You notice that like 99 times out of 100 when I make this little wobble, I don't correct it. Making sure it's just like in a car game where you counter steer too hard because you're freaking out, you start fishtailing. A good way to die, obviously. There's a lot of racing game ideas in Monkey Ball in general because it's like in terms of the quality of games are very similar, right? And obviously this team was a lot of racing game like legends because Daytona, Scud Race, Daytona 2. So these are all racing game vets. You can see how they ended up in this sort of very complexity, granular state driven physics game, right? So you see I counter steer right here. Yep, I missed it, and then I sort of loop back in. You can do that. There is enough space for you to do that. And it's because there's enough space for you to do that kind of thing that you can do the rest of this. So I'm going to come back up. All right, very gently rotate in place. You notice I drift a little left, and so I have to sort of reset. I actually get on it, and I'm comfortable, so I do it again. I start rotating the wrong way here, like, no. Rotate left. Perfect. I get a little on there. I'm centered. I go hold straight. I'm comfortable. This one, I just need to rotate, and you'll want to make sure that... I got it really quickly here. You'll want to make sure that it's like his little baby crotch needs to be right over that corner right there, right? You don't want to like call it too early because when you rotate around, you're not going to be able to go straight over this. You want to make sure his like maybe even lower, like his thighs or his knees, are like right over that corner, and his big head is sticking out into the great unknown, so that when you do that rotation, you'll be ready to just dump it straight in and like flick it. Bam. Perfect. Right. And I'll just show that again for clarity. Look how far I go out. I just go that extra distance, get his little trousers over it, and then perfect. Bam, dump it in. Because you want to be going faster over that because you're not going to balance. So, and I only had 11 seconds left on the time. This one looks weird. This is sort of, again, a shitpost level. This is very Monkey Ball 2-ish. I should have said it earlier. All these levels, except for the last one, Master 1 through 8 and the 10, were all added in this GameCube version. So this run, once you see, is actually harder on GameCube as compared to arcade. Excuse me. As far as I'm aware, there's no real major differences between GameCube and arcade. There are some between Monkey Ball 1 and 2. As far as I know, it's just friction values got adjusted minorly. Camera was adjusted, and I couldn't even... having played both games for hours and hours and hours, I couldn't even tell you what really the differences are. They feel relatively similar. At some point, probably when I write the reviews, I'm going to go ask the reverse engineers, the people with the secret decomp, what exactly. But I have a feeling, I think they mostly know from empirical evidence. They haven't found the code, right? Because I think they only decomped 1 or 2. I don't even remember. Anyway. So I do one bounce here, not the full 2. Like as soon as you hit, just sort of wait for it to hit and then hold forward. Don't hold forward from go. All right. That'll help you bounce on top of this. And then right here, I'm gonna just let the platform guide me. Get my camera situated to the left, so I'm facing the left. I don't even really see the goal. Yep, and then it's just gonna guide me straight. I'm just leaning slightly right, and the force of the platform moving is actually moving me into the goal. And wow, that was the whole run. So that's a lot of strats to remember, right? But to a certain extent, once you're getting through 7's first wall, 16, 17, 18 are the next wall. 21's like a little mini wall, tacked on to the end of that. Once you're past 21, you should be able to get through the rest of Expert with your amount of skill. And I would suggest getting those warps, because especially that 42 one, a couple of the ones after that are not ones you want to... I mean, it's good to practice them, it's good to have them and sort of understand how to do them and get comfortable with them. I don't think they're ones you want to really have in the middle of the run if you don't have to, because it's easier just to skip in 42. Let's see what else. once you do that, extras should come pretty naturally. I don't think there again are specific strats to the extra stages, but it's not like it's not anything insane. Master's gonna be a big wall on top of that. Master 3 is gonna be a huge wall. You gotta memorize the route for 5. You gotta memorize the route for 8. You gotta get comfortable with 7. You gotta get comfortable with 9. Once you're good on that, 1 and 2 should be freebies if you can do everything before it. 6 is a breather. 10 sucks. You will have to learn 10. I had to sit and practice 10 plenty, because it's not super intuitive. And you can find a different strat that works for you. You can find something where you're rolling straight in from the jump. But it's nothing crazy. So let me I'll jump to where I have my rankings. You don't need to watch all of this. And you'll notice, yeah, so I didn't even end up... So these are all my runs from back when I first 1cc'd through Extra. And I'm pretty sure a lot of that was I was going faster in warps and I wasn't sticking around for bananas. It's when I started routing up bananas about 3.5 years later, 4 years later, whatever. Came back to the game, then I started getting the Master 1cc. But also that's... I went and played through... So I had played through all of Master and just beaten the levels on Infinite Continues. I went through Monkey Ball 2. That game is trivial to 1cc because instead of unlocking continues like you do in this game, so you go... This game's on the classic Sega if you played, you know... I hate that the first one that came to mind is Zombie Revenge. I guess House of the Dead 2 is the same way, right? If you have the home port of that, you start with like 3 or 4 or 5 continues, and then as you play more, you start unlocking more until you get like 9 or 10. And in this game, you unlock them until you get like it's like 10 and then infinity, right? Monkey Ball 2, you don't unlock continues, you unlock lives. So you can have 99 lives on a single credit. 1cc is trivial. And that is on purpose. That game is not a 1cc game, it is a stupid puzzle solution game. But there are a lot of fun puzzle solutions. There's a lot of very good physics levels in that game too. There's way crazier stuff than in this game. And Master, having gone through it again recently, Master in that game, I really liked it. Especially, now, part of it is because I went back to this game and got the Master 1cc. Then I can go back to that game and enjoy Master on sort of a base level. And there's still awful parts of synchronize a stupid stage. Dizzy system is like a... But there's a lot of just really good, solid physics challenges once you get to that point. There's like no maze. They don't do mazes and all the stuff that people hate with Monkey Ball 2. So I did sort of bash my head through Monkey Ball 2. Couple years off, came back to this game. And so I would say it does help to go through Monkey Ball 2 because it will teach you a lot about air control and it'll teach you a lot about... It's just good to get different practice in, right? I've played some of the hacks as well. A lot of those veer into like all huge, gigantic level gauntlets. Not my speed. The person who made Rolled Out, Twilight, I think... I'm blanking on their pronouns. I think it might be she, they, or something like that. But her levels that are in... Or there, I'm really sorry. I should have looked this up beforehand. The levels that are in that hack, Monkeyed Ball 2, are like pitch perfect, like classic Monkey Ball style. There's a couple like evil contraption levels like 2, but it is mostly levels like Monkey Ball 1, and it's meant to be 1cc. So that can be good practice as well. I played some of the like community packs and they're pretty good. But it's good to just get hands on controller and practice the physics. And then you can come back to this game in 1cc. Which yeah, it's like a lot of 1cc's, it's just a time commitment. There is to some extent you want that level of fine motor skill, but I wouldn't say like you need to have a requisite like superhuman talent, right? It just, you know. And the nice thing is when you learn these games, I learned these games and then racing games, I was able to play with like touchy controls and I'm not an amazing racing game player. Certainly not. I'm just like I've gotten like first in all of the Daytona tracks. I've beaten like Lakeside Clear Sega Rally, but those are much easier. I mean, there's just less content, right? But it does help you going back to those very precision heavy analog games. So that's about it. Feel free to hit me on, I guess, in the YouTube comments with any questions you might have. Hopefully this is a little cleaner than that Crazy Taxi guide I did a couple, or I guess last year. Not that I scripted this one either, but all right. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone that has hung out with me while I do these 1cc attempts. In fact, when I did this 1cc attempt, I think until probably about 35, I was in VCs. So, yeah. And then NFL podcasts for the rest of it. I think when I first got this 1cc, I was like high out of my gourd. I don't do that anymore. That's probably why I can get the Master 1cc, because the Expert Extra, I could do that high out of my gourd. But all right, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.